welcome to Lilybugs Library, and welcome to Friday Reads. So we're going to do a two-part Friday Reads today. I'm going to do this video on one book, and then I will do the rest of the books I read in another video that I'll do right after. I just felt like this one deserved our full attention. So speaking of full attention, I have to say, I feel like I'm really scattered today. I sat down to do this, and then it said, oh, we need to do an update. And I went, yeah, okay. So while it was doing the update, I had groceries delivered. So then I was putting away the groceries. And then once the groceries were away, I thought, well, now I'm hungry. So I had to have lunch. But I'm back here now. So we're getting there. Okay, so the book that we're going to talk about is On Isabella Street. Oh my goodness, what a good story. And I am not joking when I say that the last probably quarter of the book, I sobbed. I'm not saying whether it was sad sobbing or happy sobbing, read the book, you'll find out. But it was just very emotional. And to the point where I actually had to put it up for a minute and just take a second to collect myself. But it was an excellent read. It's by Genevieve Graham, who is a Canadian author. Everything I have read of hers, they're all historical fiction, and they've all been great. But usually they don't make me cry quite this much, but all still good. She has such multifaceted characters that they just really appear real to you because you see all parts of them. And I think that's really special in a character and so great for a writer that she can do that. They don't feel like two-dimensional characters. They feel like three-dimensional characters. So it was incredible. So the story itself takes place in 1967 in Toronto, Ontario. And it's about two young women who have very different backgrounds, very different beliefs about things. It takes place at the same time that the Vietnam War would have been going on. And one woman is a psychiatrist, and one of the few women psychiatrists at the time. And she is treating a lot of different things, but she starts to treat this man who has PTSD. Because he was in the Vietnam War. So she knows a little bit about it because her father had been in World War II, I believe. I think that's the war he was in. And so I guess it would have to been, yeah. So he was in World War II, and so she has seen him have episodes where he kind of withdraws, and he's very closed off, and you could tell he's remembering awful things, and so when she sees it in this patient, she really wants to help him, and she wants to learn more about it. So that's one character. And then the other woman that is the other main female character, she is a 1960s hippie. She has had kind of an easy life. Her father had also been in the war, but didn't seem to have any effect on him. And he doesn't like the fact that she's a hippie, but he's still kind of giving her what she needs. She decides she wants to move out. He wants to see that she's safe and kind of on the right track. So she's a singer, and he doesn't want her singing. He doesn't think that's a legitimate career. So he tells her he'll pay for her apartment so long as she gets a real job. So she does that, but there's a lot of things that happen around that. But she's going to anti-war protests and all this, but at the same time she has a brother who has actually enlisted in the Vietnam War. And apparently there were a fair number of Canadians that did do that. It's just not something that's widely known or documented. I guess there is actually part of the Vietnam Memorial I believe it's in Washington, that has the Canadian soldiers listed that did go to Vietnam. So there is so much more to it than that, but that's the gist of it. It turns out they're in the same apartment building and eventually meet and start to become friends, and their lives start to intertwine. And I'm not going to tell you any more than that. I don't want to give away the plot because I don't think, I'm just going to glance at my notes here to see if they told you anything else. No, not really. So I'm not going to either, you know? Because I really don't want to ruin it. Just to say that, you know, the setting, the apartment building they live in is on Isabella Street, which is why the name of the book. And it's, they don't really say how small of an apartment building it is, but you really just hear about one floor of it. Now, are there more floors? You don't really know. So I'm not sure if it was more like a boarding, well, no, it wasn't really a boarding house because they all had their own kitchens. So it definitely was an apartment, but I think of a fairly small one. And the writing was just so powerful and so smart. And I feel like I got so much out of it, not just in the emotional part of the storyline, but in learning so much that I didn't know about that time period and that everything that kind of happened around then. Including closing of some of the institutions that they had that were for patients with mental health issues. And so that was something else that really changed in that time period. So definitely a 5 out of 5. You know, if I had the ability, I'd, 10 out of 5. I mean, it was really good. It was probably going to be, I wouldn't doubt that it would be probably, if not my best read of the year, it's probably going to definitely come in the top 5. So, check it out and see what you think. I'd love, if you've read it or if you are going to read it, I'd love to hear your comments below. And I often forget to tell you this, but I really appreciate you coming and watching my channel. I know there's a million channels out there and a million other people to watch, so I just, really care about the fact that you come and see mine and listen to me ramble on. So, and if you do like the channel, it would be great if you could like the video, subscribe if you haven't already. Apparently there's a large number of you that watch but aren't subscribed, so I would love that as well. And share the video with your friends, or at least tell your friends about the book, because, yeah, it's amazing. All right, I'll be back soon with my second half. All right, bye-bye.